Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. If anyone in the chat can hear me, just push 1. Oh, I don't even know if they can hear me. Shit. All right, I don't see anybody give me any confirmation, so I'll assume that people can hear me. All right, welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 369. Please hit the like button as you come in. Share the video if possible. Hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, including those posted on the community tab. This is Black Car Talk. Got a confirmation from Rainy Woman. Thank you, Rainy Woman, for that confirmation. Cocaine Kells, how are you doing? Steo, what's going on? Yeah, this was supposed to start maybe an hour ago. And I had to attend my NSBE event tonight, as usual. Every month I go and do my pledging. And this is where I just came from. So we were at Car Guru's headquarters, and Car Guru's is the leading search engine for cars on the web. And our chapter happened to be there tonight. Met some really positive and inspiring people there. So definitely had a good time. So we chopped up a lot of game about user experience, or UX, and user experience development. So definitely learned a couple of things, chopped up some serious game, and hopefully some stuff between the Black Brain Trust and NSBE will come off, in the future. So that is that. Had a great time though. It was definitely worth waiting. Staying for it and making the hangout wait. So. All right, let me get started with this, man. I'm already late and I don't have a whole lot of time. Oh, also, if you want to join the panel, there'll be a link in the chat for you to click on. When you click on the link, make sure that when you're in the waiting room, you raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, then what's going to happen is you're going to be sitting there for a long time. All right, first item on the docket is from Boston CBS. Committee reaches compromise on distracted driving bill in Massachusetts. Negotiators within the Massachusetts State House came to an agreement on distracted driving legislation Friday night. The proposal puts restrictions on handheld devices while driving. Both the House and the Senate passed their own versions of the law earlier this year. One of the largest differences was how the bill dealt with racial profiling concerns. A conference committee has been negotiating differences since June 19th. Lawmakers tried, but they were unable to come to a compromise before the August recess. The language of the compromise legislation has not been made public yet. The final vote is expected next week. Emily Stein lost her father in a distracted driving case in April 2011. The world lost a really good soul that day, she said. When it is signed by Governor Baker, it will feel like all of our effort will make sense. Howard Steen, 61, was killed by a teen who was programming her GPS while she was driving home. The pain still cuts deep for Emily Stein, which is why she's pushing hard for the bill. It will require devices like cell phones to be in hands-free mode. Right now, you are not allowed to text, but you can look at it. You can answer the phone, and we know that often leads to fatal and tragic consequences, said Stacey Thompson, Executive Director of Livable Streets Alliance. On Sunday, dozens will gather at the State House for a visual and day of action to coincide with the International World Day of Remembrance to honor those who've been impacted by distracted driving. Road fatalities are international health crisis, Thompson said. We are incredibly grateful to the administration and to the legislator to have really taken the hands-free bill seriously. For Steen, who started her own nonprofit called Safe Roads Alliance, she can only share with her grandchildren how special her father was. He would have been such a great grandpa, she said, and that is the hardest part. So I don't know how this is going to work overall, because you would have to catch the person in the act. Also, you would need to you would need a warrant, if I remember correctly, because if a phone is locked and you don't have the passcode or the biometric login, how would you know that the person was actually using the phone unless you get a warrant for the phone records? That becomes really tricky. And what about people with tinted windows? Some people running around with 35, 20% windows. It's going to be kind of hard for you to tell whether or not they're using a cell phone while driving, unless you start pulling people over just on suspicion that they are using their phone. And in that case, they can just put the phone down. How do you square the circle on that? We got Ty City on the panel, man.
What's up with it, bro?
I'm chilling, fam. What's going on?
No much, man. Dog, you know, I didn't know how crazy stuff was until I started riding a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you know, like sitting up on a motorcycle, you looking into people's cars.
Yep.
Dog, you see the most craziest stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be against, you know what I'm saying, police like searching, seeing what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, also like I take roll calls. So if trucks get in accidents, I have to take off and see what's going on. And sometimes, man, it be fatal accidents. And a lot of times it's somebody, you know what I'm saying, they on their phone, though. And
mm-hmm.
yeah, it's hard, but we got to do something.
Well, what they can do is they can set up designated zones, right? So if you're in a school zone during school times, you could potentially have an officer out there you could potentially have an officer out there that could, by and large, pull people over at random if they see him with their phone, right? One of the sting operations they tried out here was crosswalking, right? Someone's on the crosswalk and you don't let them by on the crosswalk. It was an undercover officer that was actually performing it, but there was also officers down the road that would catch the person who ran over the crosswalk and didn't let the person pass. So there's ways of doing that to actually police people. The other, go ahead.
No, they had a school bus full of police officers that would be a school bus on the highway, and they'd be looking into people's cars. They was doing that here in Dallas.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that work out?
You know what? I didn't keep up with it, but I think I remember seeing it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, something got to be done, and I know it's a privacy buffer zone in there. That
Not necessarily. You'll be right that there's a privacy buffer zone, but you're driving a car is a privilege in this country. So once you take advantage of that privilege, you also forfeit your right to Fourth Amendment, which is privacy. Because now we have the ability, I'm saying the government, the law enforcement has the ability to stop you from driving on the road because it's a privilege. And thus they can pull you over and detain you indefinitely if they need to.
right. Also, I think we become so accustomed to getting to like driving. I don't think people understand that like you in a 3,000, 4,000 pound mass moving at 50, 60 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you're putting on makeup.
Oh, I see dudes shaving out there, man. Crazy.
Yo, it's wild.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me jump to this next article. You know, BMW has, and I think Mercedes might have this feature too, but I know the BMW specifically reads the text out to you if your car is connected to Bluetooth. Like if you get a text message, it will read that text message out to you.
Oh, through the iDrive system.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think, you know what I'm saying? I think we'll probably start seeing more like heads up display type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think they already have heads up displays, but you know, you can buy it aftermarket, but I think overall you'll have more of like an Alexa or a Siri or something like that that's going to actually let you know what's going on. The only problem is if you're you know, you're driving with somebody, man, and the wrong text message come through.
No, I had an incident like that, man.
Really?
Yeah, man. I used to have my phone linked to the double dead in my RX-7.
Wow.
And man, my phone started going off, and I'm worried about the damn phone, but you know what I'm saying? The screen popped up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God.
Oh man. You had to walk home that night.
No. I'm gonna drive it all times. Shit.
All right, man. This next item on the docket is from Bloomberg.com. Electric car onset leaves lubricant industry facing Kodak's fate. The $146 billion lubricants industry is at risk of suffering the same fate as Kodak thanks to the rise of electric vehicles. From Volkswagen AG to Nissan Motor Co., car makers are switching to battery-powered models that use fewer greases than combustion vehicles. With demand expected to decline from 2025, lubricant makers are wary of Eastman Kodak's demise when it failed to grasp the potential of the digital camera in the 1970s. This is behind the paywall. You know, this is true, Tie City. What about, Funkmaster Flex and his oils and castor oil and Valvoline? you may not see them again.
Yeah, man. I think about cheap gas prices every time I
Mm-hmm.
that's what I look forward to. Everybody electric and their gas like $25 a gallon because nobody wants it. Nobody's using it. You know what I'm saying? Except
Yeah.
hot rodders.
Yeah. Well, the guys with those, with their toys, man. So
But okay, so what are they? I'm not familiar with how are they lubricating these the engines and these the motors in these EVs,
they're self-lubricating.
like a brass type material.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what it is. They're supposed to be self-lubricated from what I understand. I guess there's some kind of like a long-term grease on it, right? Something that probably goes for like 80,000 miles or something like that, 75,000 miles, which is not bad. Which is not bad because if you factor in, you go in for maintenance, that might be your only high maintenance service before the batteries, right? The grease will probably go. Well, the grease will probably go before the batteries do.
Right.
Because you have to slow down. It regenerates energy back into the batteries. A lot of that friction will build up at some point, especially if you're like in a four-season region like Northwest or Northeast, and you got winter that breaks down that grease and then goes back into summer and it kind of wears out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to be Valvoline or Castor Oil or any of these brands, man. At this point, I would be looking to get out. Not even worth it.
I mean, what get out into what? You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna have to, rewrite the state rules or something and say, yo, every car needs to have their oil changed at 500 miles.
No, hey, while you laughing, they'll make it happen.
Yeah.
I seen it happen with DEF.
Mm-hmm.
Out of nowhere. Next thing you know, you got to have this fluid that nobody ever heard of
Mm-hmm.
5 years before.
Crazy. You may see that on these cars, man.
Yeah, I know it's gonna. The thing is, the industry's already took off before. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? If the industry didn't take off, then they could set these standards. But I think standards have already been pretty much laid out now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let me bring Triz in. Yeah, they see. There's no place for them to go, man. Maybe they can go to like the military, right? Because obviously your tanks and MRAPs and stuff like that, they're still gonna need oil. But that's a big stretch, man, because that's probably covered by somebody else already. We got Super Triz on the panel, man. What it do, Triz?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? What's going on, Ty City?
Chilling.
Man. Hey, let me say something real quick, man. to Triz, man. I'm gonna make myself real clear, fam. And one of the previous streams, fam, I said I wanted to shoot the fade with Triz, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, this nigga added me on Instagram, bro. I do not want to shoot the fade with this nigga, bro.
You gotta work out a little bit more, man.
I know, bro. I gotta hit the gym, bro.
What you been doing, man?
Working and coming home, man. Just been chilling, man. I gotta get on it, man.
You drink too much, man.
I gotta get on it, man.
Hey, and anybody out there that want to shoot the fair one _ Super Triz on Instagram, I take all fades.
Well, he didn't want to give you the fade. He just wanted to give you a mohawk.
Yeah. Give me a couple years, fam.
Yeah.
This big nurse nigga, man.
You thought he was just a RN, right? Regular nigga.
Nah, bro. The nigga got the shrubs. They got the shrubs tight than a motherfucker, bro. I'm like, man, I ain't finna fight this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Big big trees, man. Good Lord.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what Ty City been doing all this time, man.
I know, man. Y'all running marathons and shit, man. I gotta get it together, man.
You can't run a marathon in your Datsun, man.
Hey,
man.
so I kind of chimed in late, but what it appears is that you guys are talking about, I guess the lubricant industry is going to be suffering as electric cars begin to proliferate the industry. Is that correct?
Yeah, about 5 to 10 years.
But the electric cars still have moving parts, right?
No, just the only thing that's moving on is maybe the rotors. That's about it. But those things are kind of lubricated from the factory. It's not really something you have to continuously. And maybe the brakes are all electric too.
Well, I know you got wheel seals. You got to have wheel seals.
Yeah, but that's not. Yeah, but that's not a multi-billion-dollar industry.
It's a steel bearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of see what you mean. Yeah, it's not gonna require constant lubrication because a lot of the components will be closed systems.
Yeah.
So that will preclude the consistent, routine lubrication like you see with combustion engines.
Yeah, and the thing is, the lifespan on that, or the life cycle on that, is going to be something like anywhere between 75 to 100,000 miles. I mean, Speedy and Jiffy Lube, man, they'd be like, "Oh, you got to bring your car in every 3,000 miles." And it's not the case, man. It's not really the case. I know BMW, their oil changes at 15,000 miles. Minis is something like 15,000 miles too. I know on Volkswagens, the new ones are all 10,000.
Well, what about the differentials? Do they have like a different? They gotta have a differential, right?
Depends on which vehicle you're talking about.
Okay. I don't know what they're gonna do. Now that I think about it, it's like
if I wouldn't invest into them,
they would have to go into plastics or something.
Yeah, you're right about that. They will change a different sort of material, right? But the militaries are still going to utilize that oil. They just have to, because their vehicles are all designed long before there was any such thing as an EV. I mean, you still got tanks and other hardware from the 1960s and 70s. So,
well, in addition to that, I mean, there may be able to utilize electric vehicles for some military applications, but a lot of the military applications, you need a vehicle that can access remote areas. Yep. And so that's going to be the issue with trying to have a charging system.
Nah, there's gonna be a lot of scams out there, man. You got to change the ball bearings in your muffler or something like that, man. All types of gotchas, man. All right, let me get to this next item on the docket. Is from Motor1.com. Porsche Panamera renderings previews subtle facelift. Car hasn't even been released yet. They're already doing facelifts on it. Spy Shots revealed that a refreshed Porsche Panamera is coming, and now the artists at Kolisa in Russia have renderings imagining what the updated four-door might look like. This creation looks very close to what Porsche is actually working on. The refreshed Panamera doesn't wear a major styling overhaul. The designers keep the tweaks to the front and rear while leaving the rest of the styling alone. In front, Porsche tweaks the lower fascia and revises the turn signals, while Colisa's renderings connects the lamps at the edges. The Spy Shot suggests the two sections would be separate. While the styling isn't much different, there are rumors about a new range topping model joining the lineup. A small team is working on it under the codename Lion. The scant info suggests that the output could grow to as high as 820 horsepower. Although other reports put the power at a modest 750 horsepower. In addition to the extra power, the Lion is reportedly 550 pounds lighter due to a stripped interior and less sound deadening. It would ride on sticky Michelin performance tires for sharper handling. A debut date for the refreshed Panamera is still a mystery. However, it's a safe bet to expect to see the four-door showrooms in 2020. Expect Porsche to follow the usual strategy of unveiling a few variants at a time. The Lion would probably be the last of them. An updated Sport Turismo with similar tweaks is on the way too. I would think that a lot of people who want a four-door Porsche should be waiting on the Taycan, right?
Well, the price premium of the Taycan may be off-putting to some.
This is pretty expensive too. It's about the same price.
Are you sure about that? I mean,
fully loaded Panamera GTS would be pretty expensive. Those things go for about 120, 130.
Well, I mean, what about some of the just like a non-GTS model?
Yeah, that might be cool, but I can't imagine that they're going to sell a whole lot of them. Maybe for limousine services or something.
It's hard for me to the Porsche Panamera. I never liked it. I don't like the Taycan either. I mean, the whole four-door Porsche, it's never appealed to me.
Yeah.
But from an aesthetic standpoint, I just don't like it.
Yeah, but they sell though for whatever reason.
I mean, that Taycan, the biggest criticism was it looked like it was crying. That's what
we lose Tie City. Yeah, I think we lost Tie City.
I'm bad. I don't know. My phone do not like the Zoom app.
Oh man, you got to update the Zoom app and reboot it.
All right, let me try that. I'll be back.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I think the thing is that when you look at the actual, it's merely a more of a refresh than anything. It's not like completely re-engineered.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual capital investment in the endeavor is relatively modest. So even if it doesn't sell, if it doesn't meet the sales expectations, they're not really at much of a loss, as opposed to if they completely redesign the vehicle. So maybe they're seeing, they're just playing it safe, just do a slight mid-cycle refresh,
mm-hmm.
and then with the introduction of the Taycan, see if it continues to sell. Because there may no longer be a business case for the Panamera, at least in the volume that it is now. And people may have that sentiment that you had, like, oh, okay, what's the point of a Panamera if I could just have a Taycan?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. For me, if I'm going to do a Panamera, it's going to be a Sport Turismo, man. The station wagon looking joint. So
if I do a Panamera, it's because I got a good deal at a car auction. That's it.
Those things suck on maintenance, man. Suck. Yeah, it looks like Cocaine Kells doesn't like BMWs. I feel her pain, man. She seems more like a Benz girl. So, all right. Next item on the docket is from Electrek.co. VW says ID3 electric car is 40% cheaper to build than e-Golf. That's amazing. All right, we spread this out. VW's next generation MEB electric platform is apparently delivering some significant cost reductions. VW CEO Herbert Dice, says the first vehicle on the platform, the ID3 electric car, is 40% cheaper to build than the e-Golf. Earlier this month, VW production of their ID3 electric car at its Zwoku factory, which they are completely converting from gasoline-powered car production to EV production. At an investor event, Volkswagen chief executive Herbert Dice claimed that the new electric vehicle costs about 40% to produce, 40% less to produce than the e-Golf electric car. If you focus on electric platform, all in all, it accounts for a 40% reduction against the predecessor electric Golf. Most of it from cells and the battery system. Around 5 to 10% come from dedicating an entire plant to electric vehicles. The electric Golf was a conversion of the internal combustion engine version of the Golf, and therefore it wasn't optimized for an electric powertrain. And while the Golf is a high volume vehicle, the e-Golf program was fairly low volume, which means that VW didn't produce many electric powertrains. Now the German automaker has an entire factory dedicated to electric vehicle production from the ground up. Interestingly, Dice was saying last year that the cost to bring their EVs to market was higher than expected. The burden of for our company, such as the cost of bringing to market electric cars, will be higher than expected. This is particularly so since some of our competitors have been making more progress. They seem to have made some progress since. VW already awarded $48 billion worth of electric vehicle battery contracts to support its plan to produce over 1 million electric vehicles per year by 2025 between all of its brands. They now claim to be buying batteries for $100 per kilowatt for their electric vehicles. The automaker said that electric cars will soon reach price parity with gas-powered vehicles. As costs come down, Volkswagen is planning to make a sub $22,500 all-electric vehicle. It is expected around 2023. I don't know, man. How long can you wait, Super Trisman, for you trading that 4Runner for an electric SUV?
You know, the 4Runner's not getting traded in. That's for sure. You know,
oh, yeah?
Nah, it's not getting traded in. But you know, at sub $22,000, I mean, is there even a need to trade in the vehicle? I mean, you could just buy that cash outright. You know, $22,000, that's like crazy.
Yeah,
that's game changing. You know, but I think it's what's needed, because remember, Volkswagen is a German company, and you know, Germany is making that transition to where, you know, within the city epicenters, you can't have a vehicle older than 10 years. Yep. And then the projected standard is a 7-year vehicle or newer. And so in order to accomplish that, you're going to have vehicles that have a low purchase price.
Yep.
And even for car sharing models, you know, ride sharing platform, ride sharing models, this is going to be very appealing. This actually presents a business opportunity for people that want to get into the ride sharing business, especially as they introduce autonomous features and things of that nature. Like, this makes it actually, you know, doable for a small company to say, okay, we're gonna start a small company, maybe like in a dense city area, or maybe even somewhere out or more remote where they don't have access to the bus systems of the city epicenters, and just have some type of ride sharing program, a low maintenance electric vehicle with a low introductory cost, you know. And so that's something that's appealing as well. But yeah, I think that's really interesting. Also, the fact that they found that it's cheaper to build an electric vehicle from the ground up than to try to retrofit a combustion engine with electric components. I found that kind of amazing.
Yeah, we got Nagon 11 on the panel.
I don't like the wheels.
Oh, here you go. Here he go. This is coming from a guy who uses a four lug setup on deep dishes.
Hey, 4 lug, 5 lug. This the brake application that matters.
Heavy ass cast iron wheels.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look. Okay, if that's sub 20, right? I'm with Trish. That's you don't have to trade nothing in. You can use that just to go in those areas he was talking about. You don't have to have the most range. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sub 20 is game changer. Sub 20 for an electric vehicle is absolute game changer. If they can have a range, Mike, did they have a range for that vehicle? An estimated range? Oh no, we might have lost Mike, but if that range,
What's up, folks?
what's going on, Nagone?
What's going on, man?
If that range on that vehicle is at least 200 miles, it's a no-brainer. Period. It's a no-brainer. At $20,000, especially if you have a commute to work, like say for instance you got a commute to work, like say for instance you got like a 75-mile commute to work or something like that, 60-mile commute to work. A vehicle like this would be a no-brainer because you can make it to work and back on one charge.
Miles are you getting on it?
Charge up when you get home. I'm not sure. I was trying to ask Mike. I was trying to ask Mike what the range was. I'm not sure.
Oh, on the ID3s?
Yeah, what's the range on that?
I think they're speculating at least 230 miles. 230 miles.
No brainer. That's a no brainer purchase. No brainer purchase.
What's the average mileage a tank of gas is getting for a car today?
On a 4-cylinder, you might get anywhere between 350 to 430 miles. A Honda Civic will give you about roughly 430 miles on a stretch.
I think with my car, I think I'm getting all together when I'm driving it, maybe 240, maybe 250 miles or so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking maybe a little bit more, but maybe under 300 miles, but not much from what I could see. So I'm thinking, 240 or 250 on a charge. I don't know. That's equivalent to what gasoline cars again.
Yeah, that's what the article is speculating, right? That the can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. That's what they're speculating, that you're going to cross that threshold, right, where EVs can actually get the same equivalent mileage, and the cost of gas is going to go up considerably at some point.
Well, I'd say the biggest thing really that we see with this electric car thing is the astroturfing piece is really getting, a lot of stations, around, like you have gas stations for electric vehicles, and then the swap is complete. But I think that's the big issue right now, which is just getting just turfing up the electrical charging stations, and maybe a quick answer to that is maybe putting charging stations where gasoline stations are right now.
That depends on the brand and the company. They may not allow for electric charging stations at a gas station.
Yeah, that's possible.
That would be against their best interest to do that.
Well, let's put it like this: would laws start coming into place?
Yes.
Will laws start coming into place?
You have statutes on the book that basically says in some areas that you cannot resell electricity to anybody outside of the utility grid. Your big whoever runs the grid company, National Grid or Eversource or whoever it is, man. They basically have these statutes on the books.
So saying that you can't have a charging station around?
Well, you cannot resell electricity. That's why when you go to Walmart or Whole Foods, you can charge the car for free, but you cannot buy the electricity. They're not allowed to sell it.
They're not allowed to sell it. Okay. All right. Well,
so we have to look at because as we know, Nagone, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So where is that
we know
cost of
this.
that electricity going?
Say that again, fam.
Where's the cost of that electricity going for people that get that charge their cars for free? Is it going to the consumers that go to those stores? Like, who's paying for that electricity?
Oh, that's a tax write-off for the store.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For now.
Yeah.
But when electricity becomes commonplace, I mean, electric vehicles become commonplace, it no longer may be incentivized.
May not be. It depends on who it is. Maybe you might have an application that the car is connected to. As soon as you pull up, like in a Tesla, it tells you that there's a charger station there, and it knows how much how much electricity it needs to charge your battery, and you'll get billed that way.
The best thing really is to charge these damn things at home. Charge these bad boys at the crib.
I don't know, Nagoon. They said it's free at Walmart.
Well, I mean, they had it when they first broke out with the electric cars years ago in California and did those experimental vehicles, of which they ended up crushing up, which was insane. Mm-hmm. But you could actually charge these things at the crib. So I'm just saying, I think that would be the smartest thing to be able to, if you can actually charge your car home.
The problem with that, Nagone, the problem with that, Nagone, is that especially in the wintertime, you lose battery life considerably just as soon as you pull out the door.
Okay, so what's the problem?
You may charge up, but where your next destination is could be significantly impacted by the weather. So even if you do charge up, it's not a guarantee you're gonna maintain battery life. So the idea here is to put as many charging stations at public institutions.
I agree.
Right?
I agree with that, but still charge up at the crib, and then you have your charging stations, around where where you may not need as many,
mm-hmm.
and people are just going to have to just kind of judge how far, where you travel until this thing becomes totally enterprise wide, where you have charging stations around like gas stations, mm-hmm. and I think that'll only come through legislation, through the federal government of states, and we start outlawing gas powered cars after a while, and I don't see that happening for quite a while fully until that full changeover comes. Mm-hmm. But we definitely need to do that. Like I see, like in Brazil, you go down there, you have gas powered cars that have electric gas, and then you literally have the green gas, mm-hmm. that actually, you fill up almost like you fill up a balloon, if you will. You don't get as much power out of
mm-hmm.
it, but some gas stations have it, some don't. I mean, so they have kind of a switch off, kind of like a Prius, that can do gas, but all at the same time, do electric. So maybe it'll start out like that, but we definitely going to need more charging stations to work it out. But I do think, a part of the answer is being able to charge up at the crib and be able to try. If you got 230 miles, then let's say the wintertime is going to come up. Well, if you're in a northern state or or state, that has a lot of snow, whatever, or it gets cold pretty quick, long winters, then you're going to have to just be a bit more, intelligent about how you travel. You just can't, just up and ride and not worry about it.
But the question then becomes, Nagone, how much does it cost to charge a vehicle? Like if you have like a standard electricity plan at the house, right? And you're charging
mm-hmm.
the vehicle, say for instance, you're charging it from 70% charge.
22 cents a kilowatt.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. With the demand for electricity, that's not going to remain the same.
And the thing about it is that, okay, so somebody that's very frugal, like, why am I going to pay to charge my vehicle at home? I could just get it charged for free somewhere else. Because if you look at it, maybe one day is not that big of a deal, right? But if you're charging it consistently, right, and you look at over a month span of time, maybe that saves you $50 or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
And so
you're not charging from zero all the time.
No.
Exactly. But here's the thing, though. Is that complex?
Yes, it is. What's going on, everyone?
Complex. Well, check this out. check this out, right? So we have a lot of people, especially in Seattle, what we call stealth van drivers. It's basically people who take a van, they retrofit it, and they make it into almost like a mobile domicile. So they put like a little bed in there, TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because the cost of living is so high out here. So I'm saying something like maybe if like, you know, as electricity becomes more commonplace, people who like stealth van, like people get a van that's electrified and kind of retrofit it as a home, and they basically live off the grid, but on the grid. So basically they don't have to have a home. They could just charge up their van in a public place and actually like leave it plugged in overnight and just use up a public place's electricity.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny Blaze and them are saying that you can charge your car at home right now.
Yeah, you can on a 110, but you gotta have a level 2 in order to make it efficient. A level 2 is pretty expensive. Johnny Blaze is coming up to the panel, man.
Okay.
What's going on, Johnny Blaze, man?
Hey, not too much. Hey, how you guys doing?
All
right, so
Hey,
you
Blaze.
can charge your car at home on a 110, but the best solution, if you're gonna do that, is to get a 220 in your house.
It's a washing machine out.
Dryer.
Yeah, I know
The dryer.
I know exactly what that is because one time I put it at 110. I bought a new washer and dryer, put it in my in my laundry room, and it didn't work, and so I had to have the guy come out and put a 210 in there. So so that's exactly what you have, and that's not too bad. It's like running a washing machine.
Right.
I mean,
now,
you know. Go ahead.
It serves two purposes when you do this. Number one, you're getting a much faster charge. Because right now, I can tell you, so right now, I have a 110 in my house, and that's what I charge my Tesla with every night. I get about 4 miles per hour.
Charge?
Per charge, yeah.
Okay.
So now, if I go to I'm looking to go to a 220 or 240, whatever it is, I'm going to get between 12 and 16.
Yep.
So like,
Now,
like
an
basically
hour,
it triples to quadruples.
correct.
Okay, gotcha.
The charge time, which makes sense. Makes sense.
Here's the other catch. So the standard chargers that you're dealing with out and about, those are called level 2s.
Yep.
Like at Whole Foods. Those will give you anywhere from about 18 to 20 miles of range in and out. Okay. Also, the second thing in the house is when you go to that 240, it cuts down on the heat resistance. So it's actually a lot more efficient. But at the end of the day, charging at home, I mean, it's still cheaper than buying gasoline.
It certainly is, man. The gas game it's a rip off. It's also an how would I say? It's an obsolete fuel system. It's obsolete, and we've been driving on obsolete shit for over 100 years, literally. And you know, it's obsolete, man. It's not as efficient, and we could get a lot more power.
Easy to go. Easy.
No.
They're gonna come after you to go. I'm just saying.
I mean, you know, I was looking at this one guy that had a certain turbine engine that ran on water and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, what are we doing with this gas, man? This shit is crazy. That didn't make any sense. So,
now I did want to address something that Super Triz was asking. He was talking about, you know, there's no thing about like this whole free lunch in these charging stations. I went to a meeting a few months ago, and they're looking at how can they make money off this thing. You know, they were looking at where can they put these things and they can charge. And I know, like you were saying, there's certain places where you can't charge for electricity, but I know like a lot of hotels are trying to get in on this action. Other places that are like big time attractions. So there are there's a place, I think it's called like EV, like different EV communities you can kind of look into in your area.
Oh, but see, I can already see where they're going to go with this. What they do is that they charge for the parking space, not the electricity.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what you got it.
Yep.
Hey, I know this. You go to gas stations now, they charge you. A lot of stations now, they charge you for air. They charge you for air.
Well, because
it's
more of a convenience.
You got to put a couple quarters in. They charging folks for air, man.
So Ty City, since you own some lots, man, that might be a thing you can do.
Yeah, man, I'm holding out, man. I don't know what's gonna go on, man. I'm just holding out. You know,
I mean,
this
turn
is
your
a good
lot to,
idea though.
yeah.
Well, right now it's just a Mago lot. So
Bagel straggle.
yeah, but here's a screenshot that I was referring to about level 2 chargers publicly available. Total amount of stations 495. Total amount of outlets is 1,365. And the DC fast chargers, those are the I think those like the Teslas, right? The you can plug both of those into the side, right?
So there's two. There's the Tesla makes one, but there's also one called the CHAdeMO, and I think that's going to be like I think Nissan controls those.
Yep, I know Volkswagen is coming out with the 800 volt one.
They're gonna have to get DOT standardization sometime.
You know, that would be nice if they did, because I mean, in my just in my car, I have my Tesla standard plug when I travel, but I also have the CHAdeMO if I'm someplace where I can't find a Tesla charger.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what?
I have the adapter for level 2.
They do. They do have land like just out in the middle of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like side of the highway type land too. That's like dirt cheap.
Well, that's what we have in Massachusetts, right? So we've taken advantage of all. Let me see. Yeah. So let me share the screen real quick. So this is in Massachusetts. This is when I go to work at. See if I can pull up a better image of it. This is the side of the highway. So every so many miles, they take up probably about 500 yards of space, and allot it for solar panels, and create their own grid out of it.
Hmm.
So you'll drive down the highway, you'll see like massive sections just that used to be grass, it used to be green, full of solar panels. So
Johnny Blaze, are you on the East Coast or the West Coast?
it's a Virginia.
Sir, I'm on the East Coast, Virginia.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because that would be like if you could take a cross country trip and you knew for sure that you had charging.
You
can.
You can. That's the way Tesla set it up like that, from California up to Maine. There's a charging
that's
station
correct.
available.
There's plenty of YouTube videos of guys doing it in Teslas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right now the Tesla chargers, they're roughly about 110 miles apart.
Yeah, the next one is for us is Connecticut, and then Massachusetts, and then Maine.
But here's the thing, right? So, say for instance, you have a Tesla, right? And
Uh-oh, I think they got their foot on his neck.
level 2 charging
has his foot on his neck.
You know,
Oh, there he
charging
goes.
process for drip. They're having to, because say for instance you could charge, you know, like 5 minutes. I mean, you know, and that's from start to finish, including the actual payment of the transaction.
Hey Triz, you had cut out there for a good part of what you were saying, man. You got to repeat what you were getting at.
You could be back on your way. But you know, you can't do that.
Oh.
I think it's gonna require, like, especially if you got 2 people that can you hear me now? Am I coming in now?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, because you were coming in and out, and I don't think you could hear me. I was trying to tell you that you had cut out long ago, so you have to repeat.
Oh, okay. But can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was close to that window. There's your generator outside that's causing electrical interference. But anyways, so with the actual electrical vehicle, say for instance you have a Tesla and you're using level 2 chargers the entire trip, even still, what will be your charging time? Say for instance you maybe you got 70%, 80% discharge, right? So you have 20% battery capacity and you want to recharge your vehicle. What's the amount of time that it would take to charge that vehicle? As opposed to a gasoline combustion engine, you just fill up gas in less than 5 minutes, including the time it takes you to pay for that transaction. So that kind of slows down your actual your commute time, as opposed to an electric vehicle, especially if you have 2 people that you can alternate driving. You can make a cross country trip, in like a couple days. I've done it, but you can't do that with an electric vehicle.
No, I mean, you're correct. Yeah. If you're trying to use a level 2 charger, yeah, you can forget it. I mean, now, luckily, when you get in a Tesla and you take a road trip, it's going to map out a way for you to stick with the superchargers. Now, I will tell you, it may not be the most direct route that you want, but it's the route that's going to get you there so you don't run out of any battery power.
And if you do run out of battery power, AAA does have roadside assistance to charge your vehicle.
Yeah,
they do have it, right? I would think that they would.
Yeah, they already have it.
Yeah, and you can't. I believe you can contact Tesla now. Luckily, I haven't got down that low yet.
Yeah, I'd be pretty scared, man, to get low on that sucker.
Drive
across country, because there's some places. I drove cross country, so I know. I remember I was driving out to Arizona, and man, it was 37-hour trip, and I was driving, and their areas, bro. You coming through the Sonoran Desert and all that, they ain't jack around. There's nothing around, nothing. You get caught out there, your ass is in a world of hurt.
I'm not particularly sure, but if I remember correctly, on the Tesla, it's going to point you in that direction to get to the next supercharger before you even get to that point.
All right, yeah,
yes.
But that would also mean there's certain areas you can't even. Yeah, I think what's the name said. There's certain areas I don't think you can even go through because then there'd be no chargers around. I don't think there are any chargers out there, man, where there are a lot of scorpions and shit, man. Scorpions and rattlesnakes in the desert. I don't know if
that's why we have this other app called it's not in the Tesla, but it's another app called PlugShare you can get, and that's why it'll tell you what all those DC fast chargers are. That's why I carry 3 plugs in my car just in case I can switch over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an actual plug, not an attachment, right?
Well, it's an attachment. So the CHAdeMO, for instance, this thing is huge, man. This thing is probably about 1.5 feet long, and you take that, you plug it into the DC fast charging cord that it has, then that goes into your car.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, Johnny Blaze, have you heard about? There was one company that was experimenting with doing tethered charging. So what they would do is they'd have a truck, and what happens is that you would connect the car. It would kind of like tow you. So it's going to tether you. It's going to pull the car, and there's a plug that runs into the battery. So the car, but you get a quick charge by through the energy recapture.
Okay.
The car just rolling. And then there's like an onboard battery on the truck that dumps power into the battery. And I think in like a 15-minute tether pull is supposed to give you like 10 or 15 miles so that you can get to the next, whatever you need to get to. I had read about a company that was actually looking to kind of be like an EV tow service, kind of like that, where that's basically what they would do. They would basically just plug into a car and drag it, and let the hypermiling charge the battery up along with the quick energy dump that it goes from the battery on the truck into the car to give it, however many miles it needs to get to the next to the next charger.
Now you're talking about violating the possible warranty.
Now, I did see a YouTube video of somebody actually pulling a Tesla and charging it.
Right.
I saw that. Yeah.
Right.
But the second piece, no, but they use a Ford F-150, I think, and they pulled a Model 3 and is able to get like 10 miles.
10 miles ain't much, man.
Well, it's enough to get to your next charger station.
Yeah, man, suppose your next charger station is 30 miles away and shit.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. Like people who have EVs would never put themselves in that position, right?
Correct.
I mean, you don't do it with a gas car.
Well, I don't know, man.
Well,
You got look out on the highway in the morning, man. I've been seeing some
well,
cats out there.
Well, I mean, but you know what, Mike? You know what? It's easier. It's easier for you to avoid that type of scenario with electric than it is gas.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, if you just charge up overnight, literally plug it into your house. I mean, you know, you got people who get up in the morning and they're like, damn, you know, oh, I can make it to work. You know, it's like, no, you can't, dude. Now you're out of gas. But if you pull up the night before and you're like, you know what, let me plug my car in now. So I got a full battery when I get up in the morning. Like, that goes a long way in avoiding those type of scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the refuel and the recharge times is not even close, bro.
Well, it's not supposed to be. Yeah, it's not supposed to be. Let me get you this next article. You know what I find interesting about this article is this picture right here, man. What's up with that?
What is that?
I don't know. Little beverage going on.
That's some icy hot.
Yeah.
Is that an icy hot EV owner?
It's a little icy hot stunner act.
Mm-hmm. Combustion, eternal combustion.
Look, hey, look how they try to sneak the old school Mustang in the garage.
Oh yeah.
Man, let's talk about the marketing with Ford, man.
You used to work for him.
Yeah, I know, man. That's why I know all these little goofy.
What happened?
Ford's got their foot on Ty City's neck.
Probably got up his ass.
Nah, you can't hear me?
Nah, we can't hear you.
Like they're giving you a hard time and shit. Go ahead, man.
I mean, wasn't it like what, 2 months ago we was looking at sketches?
Yeah.
They had this the whole time.
Yeah.
Of course they did.
Yeah. Let me knock this out real quick. This one is from Jalopnik.com. This could have been you, GM. Ford and GM both had the same job at hand: get a mass market EV into production, something that people will like. Ford responded by making an all-electric sporty crossover with a name everyone will recognize. GM made the Chevy Bolt. I never understood why GM's response to the rise of Tesla was the Bolt. Tesla showed the industry that what America wanted out of an EV was sharp, luxury, design and status driven package. GM took stock of it and instead put a not quite compact hatchback into showrooms. GM took one look at it. Please mute up if you're not talking. GM took one look at Tesla's upstart success and decided to make an electric Nissan Versa rival instead. What? Ford's Mustang Mach E is not a perfect car. I, for one, am worried if the company that couldn't even get the launch of an Explorer right will be able to get its first big time EV into consumer hands without a lot of high profile problems. Also, its name is dumb, but it's a sporty crossover, and that is perfect. That is the perfect shot at what American consumers want right now. We are gobbling up RAV4s and CRVs, both sitting just behind the big three's trucks in sales, as noted by car sales site Good Car, Bad Car. And Toyota and Honda aren't even remotely close to selling, all electric cars in those modes. We are only now getting the RAV4 plug-in hybrid from Toyota, the Prius company. GM at least seems to know it's screwed up and says that it will have some bolt-based car on sale at some point here in America. GM does had it's I don't this is so poorly grammatically terrible. GM does have an EV crossover at the moment. It's just not going to be sold here.
Did they get Mike now?
Hey, Mike, you all right?
Oh boy.
I mean, he's scrolling, but I can't hear him.
Yeah, I think either he's got a foot on his neck or the mic
No, the WM got his foot on his neck.
they got his foot on his neck. Shit.
Hey,
Yeah,
Mike,
yeah.
put a one in the chat.
Signal with your hand, Mike, if you're still alive. Signal with your hand, bro.
No, I can hear you guys.
Oh, we couldn't hear you. You dropped out.
Yeah, I don't know how much of the article you guys did not hear, but I agree with the article that GM dropped the ball in terms of not having an electric Escalade from day one. That should have been the first item out the gate was an electric Escalade. That's a hot ticket seller every single time, and they would have no problem selling that at 100,000.
You know what? As crazy as it sounds, I think you're right.
Yeah, they would have sold that like hotcakes.
Man, let me tell you.
But now I believe GM is in talks with about producing I read that article somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. It might have been CarBuzz, but GM is actually developing an electric variant of the Escalade. But if Ford is actually making that criticism of GM, how come they didn't make an electric version for their Lincoln? Like where's the electric Lincoln?
The electric Navigator?
That's their electric or electric anything, electric Aviator, electric whatever.
Well, see, Trez, I think you hit something on the head.
Continental, anything. I'm not saying.
I think you hit it on the head, bro, with this whole. Let me tell you, bro, Ford is putting big money behind this promo run, dog. The articles I have been reading gotta be heavily paid for, dog. I'm hearing Tesla killer, GM should have did this, and that is like, man, people haven't even driven this.
That monstrosity.
And you know what? It trips me out because I think, man, the press in the automotive industry is just at an all-time low, dog. It's straight ass kissing, dog.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the automotive market is depressed as a whole right about now, right? So anything that's gonna generate any sort of buzz or anything is gonna have to be something like, similar in the line of something that Tesla's doing, for example. Because there's just no new product really.
Uh-oh.
Again.
We lost him. Put a one in the chat.
Put a one in the chat.
Wait, I know I'm here. You guys hear me?
Yeah, you dropped off.
Oh no, because I just got home and my phone jumped onto the Wi-Fi connection here.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, so you paid that Boost Mobile bill, right?
He goes, man.
My Puerto Rican Boost Mobile.
Is it an American currency or what currency you paid it?
Oh, I paid it in peso.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, and it's an interesting question that Trish brings up. Why didn't they have a electric Navigator, right? Lincoln. They're too busy putting suicide doors on their cars. Decided whether or not the suicide door, was the money, was the deal. And I don't know, man. There's a lot of poor decision making going on in both of these companies. I would argue that Nissan too. They should have already had an electric Maxima, 4-door sports coupe. Like I don't understand the decisions that they make at all. It seems like Tesla is the only one who really understands the market.
Well, because I think it was the dedication to going full electric, because GM had full-size SUV hybrids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just to dedicate to straight all electric. But like I said, this whole thing is a big hype train, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's blown way out of proportion, dog.
Well, of course it has to be, man. You're gonna come out. Ford's gonna come out with something called the Mustang Mach E. That's not gonna just be something that just goes under the radar. They're gonna put something into that. And for me, I think the closest thing that it actually looks in terms of its looks, the closest thing that I can kind of draw like a comparison to is the Jaguar I-Pace, and maybe the Model X.
Yeah, but complex. Was that was the Jaguar I-Pace ever considered a Tesla killer?
At one point it was.
At one point it was. I mean, hell, there's even there's a race series based on the I-Pace. There's an electric race series where they run I-Pace, Jaguar I-Paces.
Well, somebody
is it a Tesla killer?
Well, no one's a Tesla killer right now.
But that's what I'm saying.
No, when they mean Tesla killer, meaning that it would steal sales. The only problem is that it doesn't have availability to be a killer. It's not widely available. There's a Tesla every 15 minutes away from your house. I mean, literally. I mean, a Tesla dealership. Sorry, a Tesla dealership every 15 minutes. They're in malls. There are in very middle to upper class places that anywhere there's a Whole Foods, there's a Tesla.
So you can buy them online.
Yeah.
Go ahead, go.
No. I'm sorry. Just go ahead.
No, but what Mike is saying is correct. He's saying is correct. It's availability. Like Teslas they're readily available.
I would still buy an I-Pace if the price was right. The only problem is that it's pretty expensive right now, man. I don't know. I just and I would have to get some some Vossens or some HREs for it, man. I don't know if I want to be riding around with that sort of wheel gap.
I was asking.
Ford, this could have been you. This could have been you, Ford. It's outrageous, man. The press is outrageous.
I think that's the main. I think that's the main hurdle for me is that when I look at the electric vehicles, there's not really a compelling factor besides that Volkswagen product that has that very, very attractive price point. I will get that, and then have enough money left over to import a Toyota V12 Century.
Absolutely.
Doing the most right now, Super Triz.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I was looking at them last night, man. They got some clean right-hand drive JDM models.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think at some point
They're not that high right now.
What are we talking about?
Demand. They're not demand. Like
they're not high right now.
People want the Skyline and the Datsun 510. They don't care, and they want the Mazda. What's that Mazda? The rotary Mazda, whatever it was that came out like in 1970, whatever that was. So they're RX, maybe RX, RX3, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Thai City likes the MX3
Century right now.
What? What's saying?
I thought Thai City likes the MX3, not the RX3.
Oh man, cut it out, man. Cut it out, man. Hey,
Why? It's a cute car, Ty.
You won't catch me slipping in one of them ever in my life, man. like a giraffe in the damn. I ain't doing
it. That was a Monster's version of the Del Sol, right?
Yep, basically.
I'm cool.
All right. All right, let me get to this next article. This one's for arstechnica.com. Living with range anxiety, 2 weeks with Jaguar I-Pace. I'm not going to read this whole thing, so it's pretty long. My colleague, Ars automotive editor Jonathan Gitlin, drove an I-Pace when it launched and came away raving about it, and for good reason. Not only did it win the World Green Car Award, but it also won World Car of the Year. Jonathan covered the I-Pace is in great detail, so I won't spend much. Nicole, you have to mute yourself, brother. So I won't spend much time talking about the driving experience, but put simply, the I-Pace is a blast to drive. It accelerates briskly. It's incredibly comfortable. Sight lines are good. Handling is impeccable. It's roomy for its size. It has some modest off-road skills. And Jaguar Land Rover's infotainment system, Touch Duo Pro, is well thought out, even if slightly laggy at times. Beyond that, JLR fixed one of the major complaints Jonathan had about the I-Pace as it entered production. The regenerative braking settings are no longer buried under the layers of menus. In short, there's very little to dislike and much to love when driving the I-Pace is concerned. And at the risk of setting off a storm in the comments, I prefer driving an I-Pace to the Tesla Model S I drove for a few days last year. So Thai City, that's confirmation. But for many people, BEVs are an unknown. One frequent question I get when I talk to BEVs is range anxiety. Don't you worry about running out of juice? Range anxiety is real. Sure, most of us have had experience of running on fumes as we pulled into refuel. And even if you run out of gas, you can make the walk of shame to the nearest gas station. It's not the same with an BEV. Charger stations aren't ubiquitous like their fossil fuel counterparts, and you can't trudge back to your Nissan Leaf or Tesla Model S with a can of electrons for your dead vehicle. And even with a full charge, you can see your eventual stall point approaching as you head down the highway. All right, let me just get to this, the dead of winter. Last winter, last winter was brutal here in Chicago, with temperatures bottoming out at negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit one January morning. It didn't get that cold while I had the I-Pace, but it was chilly enough to see the impact temperature can have on range. The car I drove was a pre-production model with a charger cable that said prototype in big block letters. It unfortunately did not play nicely with every charging station. That's to Thai City's point. An issue that I did not encounter with the production car I drove this summer. The I-Pace arrived on an overcast January day. Upon powering up for my usual 63-mile test drive, I noticed that the range was 179 miles, which the car said was 90% capacity, making the full range around 200 miles. My review route is about 35 miles of interstate driving combined with all 7 miles of winding hilly roads in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. The rest is generic suburban driving. I ended up driving 63 miles while using 69 miles of range on a 34-degree Fahrenheit day. We're used to seeing a higher EPA mileage estimates with highway driving, but the opposite is true for BEVs. The faster you go, the quicker you'll drain the battery. So this is on 120-volt charging. A 69-mile drive used up just over a third of the available range. leaving me with a nagging feeling that I should plug it in. Production models I-Paces can take advantage of 100 kilowatt DC fast chargers. Alas, all I have in my garage is a 120 volt outlet and the charger that came with the Jaguar. I ended up putting another 12 miles on the car the first day. Combined with a 2-hour mid-afternoon charge, I ended the day with 101 miles of range. Let me let this person in. All right, I'm not going to read this whole entire thing, but the point of the matter here is that range anxiety that I think some of you guys are talking about might be blown out of proportion.
I certainly think it is. And I think that you actually have to drive electric cars differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you have to do is you have to utilize the Curse capabilities,
Mm-hmm.
right? Energy recapture. So, you know, you have to drive it with no understanding how to hypermile,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how to recapture. You know, you have to drive it with the thought of, okay, any energy that I'm not using, I'm recapturing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, that's one capability that electric car has that gas car, you can hypermile a gas car, but you can't recapture energy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fill your gas tank back up by hypermiling. Only thing you could do is you could stretch out what's available.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with electric cars, not only can you stretch out what's available, but you can also recapture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of wonder about that question about a jerry can with electrodes in it, right? What if something like that could be designed?
Yeah. I mean, what about like a well, I think what you would actually have, and you know, if there's any would-be inventors out there, here's an idea. But basically, like you like a gas can, but here basically what it is, it's like a case or some sort of encasement that has
Mm-hmm.
a shit that just has like a bunch of supercapacitors.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Right?
a portable battery pack.
Yeah, with supercapacitors, and with those you could do a quick dump into the main batteries, and maybe like in 2 to 3 minutes get a 10-minute charge out of it or something.
Yeah.
Or a 10-mile charge or a 15-mile charge, just utilizing supercapacitors. So it's
Mm-hmm.
possible. In my mind, it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how heavy it would be. Even if it is 20 pounds, that's still that's still worth it. It's still worth it.
I know they're looking at changing the battery. They're trying to go more and more away from lithium to those super high density batteries because of the weight.
Yep.
So,
because the weight plays a role in energy consumption as well.
Mm-hmm.
What up, Zone?
Wasn't there some talk of some sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say carbon nanotube, but some type of carbon-based technology battery that was significantly smaller,
Graphene.
had different graphene. There we go.
Graphene.
There's graphene, and then there's glass sodium, which Tesla actually just bought a stake, I believe is licensing John Goodenough's patents with the glass sodium battery. That's for you guys who don't know. That's the same guy who developed the batteries for the EV1. So he developed a glass sodium battery.
One still is that EV1 is still mark. Like, I mean, think about how long ago that was. Was that
1990s?
90s, mid 90s, mid to late 90s.
Like in 90, like 300-mile range?
Yeah. Yeah, it was about 250, 300 miles.
And people take the batteries out that thing now, man, and throw a K20 in there.
It was,
Good luck trying to find one though.
No. They've all been.
I thought they crushed them or something.
Yeah, there's still people that still are holding on to some, but they were crushed.
Yeah. I think there's like one or two like universities that may have them.
Right. And you wonder why GM, like, that when you really think about it, theoretically, GM had the first successful EV. When you really think about it, they had the
Yeah, but that was
first
co-developed with Honda, though.
okay. But the thing about it is, how did GM leverage that with the goddamn Bolt
Volt or Bolt?
or the Volt or whichever the Volt? How did they take those early successes and leverage it into their first true electric offering? They fucking bombed.
Yeah.
How do you bomb when you actually had the first successful version of this shit? You were successful before Tesla was. Like, GM is like kicking itself in the ass with both shoes.
They ain't nothing but a 2-pump chump, man.
But here's the thing, like
make money.
What they assumed was that the conventional, compact, fuel efficient car buyer would be the target demographic for the Chevrolet Bolt, and so basically they made it look like that when actuality, because of the electric propulsion, the packaging didn't have to be the same. You could put that electric power plant in any kind of vehicle that you want. So based on the times, you look at what is the most popular vehicle type that's selling. Let's electrify that. So if they had any sense, what they would have done is they would have made an electric crossover type SUV type vehicle, and they would have put it in their most appealing nameplate at the time. Mm-hmm. Now they assume that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish. I'll go after you.
And I guess they assumed that Chevrolet was the most appealing nameplate, and then of course they want to, this whole design, this Chevrolet design language. It just.
All right. Well,
go hard today, man.
Well, the point I wanted to
can't stand the Chevrolet bow tie design language. Not like period. Let's just call it spade a spade. The Chevrolet making ugly cars.
Okay. No. That's probably why they got their foot on your neck right now. Because
No. I'm done. I muted up.
No. Oh, okay. But look, here's the deal, right? So when the EV1 came out, did they badge it as a Chevrolet? No, they badged it as a GM, right? You see, so like I said, you have to kind of go on your early successes. Okay, when the EV1 came out, did it look like any other car that was out there? It actually looked far more futuristic than anyone else was.
It looked like a Geo Metro.
It looked like a Geo Metro.
Actually, it did. Yes.
Yeah.
Slightly.
The EV1 looked like a Metro.
Yeah.
Like a bigger version.
Pull up a picture of an EV1.
All right.
But complex. One of the key things with the EV1, they realized they couldn't make money on parts.
Okay.
And
So
parts and service.
Right. So it's kind of like, well, gee, I can't put this round peg into this square hole. I guess I need to just get rid of the peg. No. Once you create a hole that fits the shape of the peg, you see. So if you know that you have commercial success, then what you'll want to do is you might want to create an entire platform that supports that type of vehicle. You can't look at an EV and then say, oh, I'm going to run an electric car business just like I run a gas car business. Okay, well, here's the primary difference between the two. An electric vehicle has the sum total of maybe 23 rotating parts total on the entire vehicle. An internal combustion gas engine vehicle has something in the range of about 1,500 to 2,000 moving parts. See, so there's going to be a far more parts supply and mechanic supply. You're going to need all that type of shit for that type of vehicle. Meanwhile, for electric, you need what? An electrical engineer, or an electrician to be able to do, or a computer, electrical engineer, because this will be a person who'll be able to do computer diagnostics and all that kind of stuff. And then somebody with some mechanical experience who can do things like suspension changes, tire changes, the typical mechanical type repairs. But that's gonna require a far more streamlined platform. You don't need as many people to be able to work on an electric vehicle. You really don't. You see, so if you have a specific platform tailored to that, you can make it profitable. Especially GM. like I said, they looked at the EV. It was like, oh, okay, wow. So your response to your successes with the EV1 is to fucking reclaim them all and crush them. Jesus. And then come back out with the Volt.
Well,
years later.
Yeah.
After Tesla. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, like I said before, man, they should have come out with electric Escalade. Could have justified the price, easy. But you know, hindsight is 2020, man, and that's how GM rolls. So,
I mean, and you look at vehicles like the Escalade, right? Even the Chevrolet Silverado, GMC, Sierra, vehicles are inherently heavy in.
is it me or is Triz?
Nah, it's Triz.
These are vehicles that cares about the weight. These are already heavy vehicles. Excuse me.
No, your mic is borging a lot.
Hey, Triz, put a one in the chat, man.
Did you hear what I said?
Bro,
did you hear what I said?
We didn't hear what you said, fam.
To charge up. Well, I said when we look at vehicles like the Escalade, even to a certain extent, say for instance the GMC, these are vehicles that already have a significant weight penalty just based on the type of vehicles they are. So electrification would have made sense, because who cares about
I'm just trying to find the the Mustang Mach E article where people were critical of it.
It's great, Triz. I mean, Ty City, it's great.
Man, I ain't going, Mike.
It's great. What's great about it?
No, I'm saying that it's all for propaganda, man.
Of course.
I see right through it. It's just it's not even non-biased. It's just blatant at this point.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to wait until it gets into the hands of some people who are gonna give it an honest review. And it has to be in the hands of like some real EV vloggers. I wouldn't trust the opinion of a Mustang guy who's like, you know what, I'm gonna go see what this Mach E is all about, and he's gonna completely shit on it because he's just diametrically opposed to EV altogether.
I'm surprised they didn't just call it a Maverick. I'm surprised they didn't just do that. I for some reason, Ford seems to think that the Mustang brand cachet is there.
Well, I think when you look at it from a marketing standpoint, to actually utilize the marketing of a pre-existing marketing budget, maybe will save them money in the long run, because you don't have to individually
by tagging it to the Mustang name.
Yeah, you can share marketing costs.
No, that's true.
Well, okay. And what I was saying earlier, I had to basically my phone went to 4G. That's why you guys couldn't hear me. But essentially,
it went to the U.S. Boost network and not the Puerto Rican one.
Yeah, there you go. It went to the Walmart Smart Talk Wireless. But essentially, what I was saying was that Escalade, as Mike said, electric Escalade would have made sense for a number of reasons, among which, when we look at Escalade, that particular class of vehicle, Cadillac Escalade, even to a certain extent, a GMC Sierra Denali, these are vehicles that are already exorbitantly heavy to begin with, just based on the vehicle type. So the weight penalty from electric components would have been pretty much irrelevant. So those have been the ideal vehicles to electrify, like electric Escalade, electric Land Cruiser, LX 570. you know, these are vehicles that should have been electrified a long time ago.
Mhm. All right, let me knock out this one for electric.co. Ford Mustang Mach E will be immediately profitable, says Ford CEO.
Oh, really?
Ford's newly revealed Mustang Mach E will start producing profit on vehicle number one, said Ford CEO Jim Hackett in an interview with Bloomberg after Ford's Sunday Mach E reveal event. Hackett specified that the car's cost of production will be lower than the revenue gained from its sales. Right from the beginning, the vehicle will still have to cover the initial cost of R&D before it becomes profitable for the company, but this is true of any vehicle line. Hackett mentioned that this should surprise many people because electrics have not had a history of making money. We've heard this from other manufacturers before. Many make the excuse that they are dragging their feet on electric cars because nobody's making them profitably. But in fact, Tesla turned a profit even on the original Roadster. Since Tesla has grown rapidly since then, the positive margins they have on their cars, along with as much cash as they could raise, has gone back into growing the company, which is currently running quite profitably. Even other vehicles that do produce a per unit loss for their company are often worthwhile projects for various reasons. If they weren't, the companies probably wouldn't be selling them. One electric car has helped bring a company's fleet emissions down, which protects them from regulatory penalties for harming public health. Two, these programs help companies position themselves strategically for the inevitable electric future. Long-term planning is important. So all this talk about profit is a little superfluous, but it's good to see Ford dispelling the myth that EVs can't be made profitably. The fact that the company has taken this car from concept to production in less than 3 years and is going to be able to do so profitably is extremely impressive. Hackett also asked why the Mach E will be built in Mexico. This is interesting as we recently reported on Ford's union agreement that stated that Mustang derivatives would be built in Flat Rock, Michigan, which assumed at the time that this included the Mach E, but apparently Ford will take some time to scale up their electrification efforts in US plants. They are going to need to move quickly, since Hackett stated in an interview that Ford plans to be carbon neutral by 2030. The company has big plans to start selling more electric cars in China and Europe, in addition to the US. So, Ford wants to turn profit with this car. Want to be like GM.
Now, you know what was interesting?
Tesla, sorry.
What it was interesting is they said that they'll be built in Mexico until they can scale up their facilities here. I read that to mean automated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what Thai City's been talking about, what they're going to do when they automate these factories, these facilities.
That's how they'll be able to easily turn a profit on EVs. There's robots building electric cars. Think about that.
Well, see, the unions know that this is coming. This is why you had the Ford employees team up with the GM employees on that last strike.
Oh yeah, they all know it's coming down the pike. They know it.
So my question then becomes, okay, number one, we know this is kind of a clickbait article because they said it will be immediately profitable. There's no vehicle ever that will be immediately profitable because we always have to calculate research and development. And they try to say, well, any vehicle is going to have research and development costs, which is exactly why there's no such thing as an immediately profitable vehicle. My question then becomes is, okay, so what we rather really look at is how many units will it take to move to before they actually break even with their research and development and production costs. That's
I don't think you factor in. I don't think you factor in the research and development because the research and development is done. That's why you have a R&D division. right? That whole division, it has its own budget. Okay, but when you're talking strictly just production costs, dude, if you're producing the car in Mexico, you're turning a profit. And when you bring it
here's
back
the thing.
here, go ahead.
If research and development wasn't important, then there would be no need for a BMW and Toyota partnership. So we understand. But we can't ignore that actual research and development cost because say for instance, let's look at it from this standpoint, right? So with the reason why Toyota teamed up with BMW is because, right, to actually develop the vehicle on their own, right, the amount of units they would have to move to actually see profitability will be significantly more, probably double. But because they teamed up with BMW, they split the research and development costs, and now they only need to sell half the vehicles to actually be profitable than they would if they developed the vehicle alone. So this is what I'm asking about the research and development costs for this particular vehicle, is because I want to know how many units they need to move to actually become profitable. Because here's my thing, right? Now, this looks like a decently attractive vehicle, right? But we can't really gauge the market and decide if the actual consumer, the American consumer, this vehicle will resonate with the American consumer, because at $44,000, $995, now you're looking at entry-level luxury vehicles. So it's like, do I want a electric Mustang truck, or do I want, like, perhaps even I can get a Jaguar F-Pace?
High-pace.
No, F-Pace. I'm talking about the actual combustion engine F-Pace.
Well, see, no. Like, here's the thing: the mistake we're making here is that we keep trying to we're trying to pit market viability of electric vehicles versus gas. Dude, it's a whole different segment. So you have to look at it. You have to look at it a whole different set of parameters in terms of research and development, because a lot of the components, Ford didn't develop it; they sourced it. The same company that provided the components for the stick shift Mustang that they built, because that's really supposed to be kind of like the promotional piece for this stuff right here. But I guarantee you, the same company that provided the components for that, they're using the components in here. See, so Ford outsourced a lot of, like, the motor technology and all that type of stuff. They're not producing electric motors. They're getting it from somewhere.
Okay, but there's still a certain number of vehicles that they have to sell to reach their break-even point. So
I think what he's mentioning here is that it'll, like, per vehicle, right, based on the cost of production for a singular vehicle versus what it's selling, they profit when it sells.
No. I totally get that, Complex. But here's my thing, right? If a vehicle profits when it sells, but they don't reach their actual sales target, then they don't actually go into black or go into red, whatever term you want to use. Yeah. So because, like, I guarantee you, there's a magic number. Let's just say that they have to sell 5,000 vehicles. Or we'll just say 10,000 vehicles before they actually, turn a profit. Even though they're profitable theoretically from day one, but to actually cover the research and development costs or whatever deals they broker with their sources, wherever they source components from, there has to be a certain number of vehicles that they sell. But the thing is that will they reach that sales target? Because my question is will this vehicle resonate with the American buyer?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, I see
because I think their target demographic. I think their target demographic is people that wouldn't traditionally buy electric cars. I don't think they're necessarily looking for people who traditionally buy electric cars. I think they're trying to. I mean, obviously that would be some of their demographic, but I think they're trying to get new electric customers.
That means that what they're trying to do is they're trying to get at people who would consider a Tesla. I mean, they're not trying to market to people who are, oriented towards gasoline vehicles. That's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to get the people who are considering their option of electric vehicles.
But so my thing is, if that was the case, because I think that they're really trying to get people that aren't traditionally electric car buyers. But And the reason why I say that is because if they were trying to market towards Tesla customers, why wouldn't they release this under, say, for instance, the Lincoln nameplate?
Dude. If that were the case, look, what that would if they were actually trying to do that, what that would tell me is that they have not paid attention to GM and what happened with the Volt.
All I'm saying is that information is only important for investors and shareholders. I don't know what the purpose of actually putting that out in the press run.
And I would even posit to say that from an investor and shareholder standpoint, they're the ones that's breathing down Ford's neck, telling them, put out a goddamn electric car, hurry up.
I'm very curious, where is Ford getting their battery technology from?
Mike, what was that when you did the article last week where you read where they built the 6-speed electric Mustang? Who was the company that supplied them with all that?
I forget right now.
But that's the company, because in that article it stated that they have a formal partnership with them, and that company was going to be providing all of the electrification components for their EVs.
But now when you say electrification components, are you including the battery itself in that?
Yeah, there was the company that supplied everything to build that 6-speed electric Mustang. They provided everything for it.
Okay. Because right now that was Tesla's initial holdup, was always getting the batteries. Now that they have their own gigafactory, so they're making their own batteries. So that's why you can get Model 3s very quickly now.
Right, because they were originally getting them from Panasonic.
Correct. So I wonder, is Ford if Ford can mass produce batteries like that, or get them mass produced, then that'll go a long way to helping them sell this.
Well, you know, if the United States is successful with their coup in Bolivia, let me shut up.
That's another thing I don't like, man. Why it's like the Mach E, it's like the Mach 1, but it's the Mach E.
There's a lot of things you don't. Yeah, but there's a lot of things you don't like, Ty City. You don't like the fact that Porsche calls the Taycan a turbo and doesn't have a blow-off valve. I mean,
you didn't like the fact that they didn't contract with Liberty Walk to design the
Nah, that would have been dope. That would have been dope.
Oh, here he goes,
man. What'd I just say?
Mr. Fat Lace.
No, right. This whole situation is corny, man. I'm not going, bro. I could just see through all this. I can actually imagine the car coming out and just bombing, just because I know.
All right. This one is from CarAndDriver.com. Ford Mustang Mach E starts at $44,995. First deliveries a long way off. Ford has already released pricing information for the 2021 Mustang Mach E electric crossover, which starts at $44,995. The newest member of the Mustang family won't arrive in customers' hands for some time, though, as the first deliveries won't start until late 2020. Ford says, and several versions won't go on sale until spring 2021. The company is currently taking $500 deposits for customers to reserve their Mustang E's. This is a Mustang standard.
That's it right there?
Yeah, this is about as bland as.
Why the fuck does it look like a Taurus in the front?
It's all types of hodgepodge, dude. It looks like a loaf of bread to me. This is the Mach E Premium, which starts at $51,700. Not really seeing. I mean, I can see the paint is a lot more richer, but.
And the wheels, I guess, right?
Well, no, actually, it looks like there's some type of. Wait, go back up to the top one. The one before that one.
No, it looks exactly the same.
Well, there maybe there's something on the interior that differentiates it. Trim levels on the inside.
It's really about the range. So 300 miles compared to 230 miles.
So for 70,000, for 70 more miles, you're paying, what's that? $6,000 more, $7,000 more. Jesus.
So they have like optional ranges you can get.
Well, no different than Tesla. Tesla does the same thing. But the point of the matter here is that all this hype for it, I would have thought that it was just one car. You just kind of, that was it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about this one.
Yeah, the California Route 1, starting at 53,000, is a special version that's optimized for maximum driving range. It has the extended range battery in rear wheel drive. It targets a rated.
Oh shit, they got Mike now. God damn it.
I know he
Is everybody secretly on B1 Wireless or what?
Put a one in the chat.
Put a
Put
one,
a one in the chat.
put a one in the
Mike.
chat if you're on B1 Wireless.
It's corny to me, man. This whole, it's just they put this out like they already had success already with electric cars, and they just like, all right, and here's the crossover. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, they're not gonna. I mean, but dude, they're not gonna come out timid. That's not a way to convince buyers to go with a traditional name in the EV sphere. Like you got to come out calling it a damn Mustang Mach E and put a Taurus front end on it for the soccer moms and hope for the best.
Well, you know, this actually, you know, I could see it working. You know, a lot of guys, you know, have to get their wife's permission for certain things, particular vehicle purchases. So they can like, you know, they can feel kind of cool because it is a Mustang nameplate, even though it's the SUV, you know, or actually a crossover, which is basically a high wagon. You know, but I mean, I think that for the Mach E GT, I mean, those are some respectable numbers, 459 and 612. But at 61,600, I mean, it's kind of a tough sell for me. I mean,
I was gonna say, look,
I gotta look at the inside to really see.
No, here's the problem, dude. The problem is that Tesla's already set the standard for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So either you're gonna meet them where they're at, i.e., Jaguar I-Pace, or you're largely gonna be trying to play catch up. Chevy saw that. Now Nissan carved out its niche, affordable EV. Okay, Chevy was somewhere in between affordable EV and trying to convince the person considering a Tesla to go with a damn Chevy, and they bombed. This shit right here, just the way it looks, I'm like, okay, look, you couldn't convince me to purchase this over an I-Pace. The I-Pace looks better.
Well, the I-Pace is not a, you know what I'm saying? It's just corny, man.
Well, the I-Pace is a crossover.
I'm saying this would fall in the same line. If you want to stack this to the I-Pace, this looks like a half-assed Mustang and a front-end Taurus. What a battery and
this is my and this is my thing, like, right? So at this price point, right? This is luxury vehicle price point. Why release it under the Ford nameplate? Why not use the Lincoln nameplate and actually have some luxury interior accoutrements to complement
I think
that
because
price
they want to move Lincoln in the same direction as Bentley and Maserati and stuff like that. They want to move into that sector, and it's kind of hard to do that with stuff like this.
Well, for what Complex is saying, what's the niche for that market, auto electric?
What do you mean?
Like the high end luxury like electric car.
They still think sell regardless, right? If you look at the Aston Martin Rapide E, although that was just a hodgepodge of an electric vehicle, it's still sold, right? They kind of just people who shop in that segment will buy it just because it's available.
Well, see, I think that's what Triz was trying to say. They should have took off on that side.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as what Mike is saying, Lincoln trying to occupy that rarefied air of uber luxury is just mind-boggling. Why they would even think that they can compete in that marketplace. They need to stay where they're at. Luxury, actually, like right now, Lincoln is really considered near luxury. It's not even considered luxury. It's considered along the lines of Acura. It's not really considered a luxury. Even though they like to market themselves as a luxury nameplate, nobody really considers that, in the same breath as, say, for instance, Mercedes, Audi, or
the brand recognition is not there as it should be. But Acura is actually a premium brand and not a luxury brand, right? So yeah.
Well, I think they changed that terminology because some publications use the term near luxury as opposed to premium. Like, so for instance, they'll say Buick, Acura, and what's the other one? There's another manufacturer, but they consider those to be Saab. At the time, Saab was considered near luxury.
Well, the thing about luxury, how you define it, is things have to be bespoke on it, and the problem with Acura is that it's not a bespoke vehicle.
Well, part of the issue with Acura is that, a lot of the what you call it determining factors kind of change. But like what I used to read, like in Car and Driver, like many years ago, was that one of the primary concerns with Acura was that they didn't really have a rear drive variant. Audi escaped that because even though their vehicles were front wheel drive based, their engines were longitudinally mounted. And so they were kind of like a unique, vehicle. Even though they had front wheel drive based cars, they were longitudinally mounted. And then in America, they sold most of their vehicle. They offered all wheel drive variants, and so that's the reason why they kind of got away with that. And then again, like a lot of even the luxury manufacturers, they don't have a lot of some like, say for instance, Audi. Some of their models don't have bespoke elements on it. I mean, you go to the A8, there's some bespoke elements, but you talking about the A4, A6. They're not necessarily bespoke, but they offer a lot of.
Why aren't they? Why aren't they? What do they? What do they share parts with?
Volkswagen.
Huh?
Volkswagen.
Yeah, but you can't find a Volkswagen with those parts, right? You can't find a Volkswagen with an Audi steering wheel. None of that stuff is really.
But that's because the parts that they share are parts that you're not going to see.
Right. That's
bolts and screws and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's typical, right? Even the Bentley, not the Bentley, the Rolls Royce has a lot of BMW parts on it, but it's still considered a high-end luxury vehicle. So what I'm saying here is that you can't take the pieces out of an Audi A4 and shove it into a Passat. It's just not going to work. Right, the infotainment system, the speedometer and all that stuff doesn't retrofit into it.
Yes, yeah.
So that's the difference. That's what I'm saying. That's a clear delineation. The problem with Honda and Acura is that, and you see it on the streets, a lot of these guys are riding around with Honda badges on the Acura and Acura badges on the Honda, just look really tacky.
Well, in Japan, there is no Acura.
Well, yeah, because they're American. It's an American brand. But what I'm saying is the parts are so easily swappable that it null and voids the idea of a luxury vehicle.
Well, I mean, even Lincoln, right? Like, you could take a Lincoln front fascia and put it on a Ford Expedition. I've seen it.
Right. That's kind of Ford's downfall, right? I think they're trying to get out of that area.
Man, this whole thing is I don't know, man. If they pull it off, man, it'd be crazy. I don't think this should have been their first. This shouldn't have been the first out for the EV for Ford.
Well, I mean, okay, so if they do pull it off, is it a testament to the ingenuity and marketing prowess of Ford? Or is it evidence of the gullibility of the American market?
Well, this is the thing, right? They put all this press out, right? And you can just tell it's all paid it's pretty much paid advertisement. Now, the product has to be good. The bar is set right now. They coming after GM, they coming after Tesla, and it has to be phenomenal. Anything less than that is going to be a failure.
But does the American consumer demand that level of perfection? I mean, listen, you're talking about the same consumers that purchase the Pontiac Aztec in droves.
Well, this is what I mean, dude. That's why we
The
have to
Pontiac
stop.
Aztec, Pontiac Aztec wasn't 40-something thousand.
Well,
The
okay,
Pontiac
but
Aztec
the mere fact that you would spend money on a goddamn Aztec says a lot. Look, the whole point here is that you have to look at EV buyers separate from regular buyers. Even bikes, okay, dude. One of the things that I'm into electric bikes and shit. Okay, you go find an avid mountain biker and say, hey, why don't you try this electrified version of it? Dude, he'll want to break it in half. It's
But that's what I'm
sacrilege.
saying, Complex. People already been exposed to Tesla for how long now?
Well, this is my whole point, dude.
Now it's like they're going to get into a Ford that they heard so much about. And you know what I'm saying?
No. What I'm saying,
yeah, go ahead.
What I'm saying is that you have an EV market, people who are interested in having something electrified, and then you have the traditional market, and you cannot conflate the two. So what Ford is trying to do is we keep saying like, well, if it bombs or if it flops, okay, what you have to do is you have to put it up against other EVs. The only other EVs really in the segment is the Jaguar I-Pace and all the Teslas. Okay, and the only people who are considering buying any of that shit are people who are considering buying electric cars. The average person is not going to say, yeah, I'm looking at this car right here, this car right here. Oh, and this Mustang EV monstrosity. No, if you're looking for an EV, you're thinking, okay, Mustang monstrosity, Model 3, whatever, I-Pace. Okay, and if you're not even considering the Mustang. So the Mustang Mach E is all for trying to corner a part of the burgeoning EV market. They're not trying to market to people who really don't care for EVs or hell, don't even like them for that matter.
Yeah.
If Porsche comes with something comparable, they done.
Who? You mean like a Macan electric?
Yeah, something along those lines that's a crossover also.
If the Chinese could get their shit in here, a lot of people would be done.
Nah, they won't buy the Chinese stuff. They won't buy it.
I mean, dude, if Biden or Neo got some cars over here, they'd think twice.
Nah, the problem is that the imaging of a Chinese vehicle is not really the climax isn't right now for a Chinese vehicle, is what I'm saying.
I mean, the thing I would have to push back on that, and I would say that because they could actually bring a comparable model to like say like this Mach E monstrosity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they could bring something in at 10 grand below it, and it'd be better. Right, like now, if you want to split hairs on, well, it's Chinese. Okay, well, you can do that, but if you're just to stack the car to car comparison, they could bring something better to the table at $10,000 less easily.
They could.
Well, here's also
the import duties. The import duties are going to be major.
Well, no, it's not even the import duties. They've been outright banned because of the whatchamacallit.
Well,
Because you have companies that already had won approval. Their cars had already been, they had gotten DOT stamps for vehicles that could actually ride on these roads, all the crash tests and all that type of stuff. They got all the permitting, all the everything. And then you know what happened? This little trade war thing.
Go ahead, Tris.
I think a marketing tactic that would make, say, for instance, a Chinese manufacturer appealing in the American marketplace is an extended warranty, much like what Hyundai did. They offer 10-year, 100,000-mile warranties. I think that would invoke faith into a Chinese nameplate like Chery or Geely or whatever. I don't know which one they would plan to come over here. But if American consumers could have faith in that product and say, okay, well, they're standing behind their product with this warranty. I know if anything goes wrong, it'll be covered, you know, bumper to bumper. Then that would be a compelling factor in addition to the price advantage over the counterpart. You know, so I think that you know, provided that this trade war is actually resolved at some point, there is a viable place in the market for Chinese vehicles. But I mean, when I look at this electric I-Pace, it's like, why would I even look at the Mustang? What's the price on this? Is that the base 69 base?
It's always 69.
I mean, but it is a significant price premium over the Mustang. So we're looking at a different. Okay, so but then we got to look at so the Tesla, what is it? The X type? What's the small SUV that's coming out?
That's the X,
The Model Y.
Oh, the Model Y.
Yeah.
Okay, so how much is that poster sticker for?
It's gonna go. I want to say it'll be less than probably around the same as a Model 3.
Oh, so the Mustang Mach E is out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget that Volkswagen. Go ahead.
Yeah,
hey, have a good night, bro.
But you know what? We got to see what the interior of that Mustang looks like, because I want to know that Ford.
Oh, I seen the interior.
What does it look like?
It's got a big screen. It's.
Well, I mean, besides that, like, I mean,
they were saying that they was comparing it to the Tesla.
Okay, from what you saw, does it look good?
I mean,
because if it looks,
they was making points about it having a knob, and they was kind of like nitpicking at it, but I mean, I think the EV cars, a lot of them, going to fall into that big screen template of a, you know what I'm saying?
Right, because it's about moving the the console to the center stack and getting rid of the dashboard. I mean, the speedometer. You don't really need it.
Yeah, they was talking about the buttons and the knobs and stuff. That I was listening to a podcast earlier on it. It was what's his name from the Smoking Tire, and he had some
Matt Farah.
Yeah, Matt Farah. Yeah, they had some journalists in there. They was talking about it earlier, and yeah, they was just nitpicking it.
oh, they really land on this this commercial. Like, this lady just hopped out of a helicopter and jumped into her Jaguar I-Pace. I mean, come on.
I think she's like the head of one of the heads in Jaguar or something like that. So, or at least supposed to be. Yeah, this is still on my to-do list, man.
Okay, but
I like that.
Well, I mean, okay, Mike. Let me. Okay, let's reel it back. Okay.
Yo, look at I mean, that's sporty. You know what I'm saying?
Check this out. But hold on. You could spend 70 on this, or you could spend 22 on the Volkswagen, and then have you some money left over to get that SLC sports car.
I like that. I like the way you're thinking, Trish.
Yeah,
why not get an electric SLC?
Huh?
An electric SLC.
Hey, I said either go electric or go hybrid.
No, but see, but hold on, but see, look at the whole point of the SLC is an analog experience, right? No traction control, no ABS, manual transmission, combustion engine. That's the whole point of it. And then, of course, it's super light.
You don't want a Porsche 919 Le Mans prototype hybrid experience where you've got a turbocharged 4-cylinder and electric motors, where just basically you have all the best of every world imaginable.
I would you, Trish.
I want it all analog, like no digital, all analog.
You're in a digital world, baby. Hey, Mike, can you find a picture of the I-Pace touring car, the race car?
Hey guys, don't forget this Friday, Tesla's going to unveil their pickup truck.
Ooh. That's another.
Yes.
That's
I was
another.
looking-
they're going to try to get a Rivian with this one.
Yeah, I was seeing I'm seeing that Rivian company y'all put me on to. Those trucks look cool as shit, dog.
Yeah, but the auto industry is not easy. So Rivian is gonna have some growing pains.
Yeah, and their stuff is gonna start out in around 60 grand.
See,
Yeah,
I mean,
Rivian.
even Ford could have came out with a pickup truck. That would have been in their lane.
I think them doing an electric pickup would have even been more sacrilege than a Mustang. I think they
already have an electric F-150 coming.
They do though, yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you had to carve out a niche, at least it'd be like, oh, we defending our stake in the truck market.
Well, they don't really have anyone that they have to protect that from at the moment. I mean, Rivian hasn't produced anything commercially to pose any sort of challenge. So Ford can kind of take their time with that, but if you're trying to do, crossover vehicles and stuff like that, like we're sitting here looking at the I-Pace, dude, you got a ways to go, man.
I like to see how it's gonna pan out, man. I myself, I'm not impressed, man. I'm not.
What would impress you, Ty?
What would impress me? You know what? If they didn't try all these corny tactics, if they would have made the design sleek, like sleek, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the crossover, if it's not done sporty or sleek, I don't think going into the future in design is going to cause for mediocre type stuff like that.
What you got against select brands like Ford, man?
Bro, I worked at Ford, man. It's just I don't know, man. It's just I'm not going, man. I'd rather take my money over to Jaguar or Tesla or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm gonna spend big money, it won't be on a Ford, man.
Well, don't forget that they got the Audi e-trons out now.
The e-trons?
Yeah, the e-trons are already out.
Yeah, the e-trons are out.
What's that going for?
Let's check.
You know what, man? Every time I think about, you know what I'm saying, the EV market and stuff like that, bro, that body style on the Fisker is so tough, dog.
You just like non-select whips.
I mean, you just really, what's going on with you, Ty? I don't know, man. Still stuck in the.
Ty, you own a dog too?
The what?
You own a dog too?
Nah.
Usually,
that ain't for me, fam.
so Ty said he wanted to look at this Audi e-tron.
See, come on, man. That or the Mustang. What's the ticket on this?
What's
Look at
the
that.
yeah? What's the cost?
74,000. Damn.
75,
Wow.
75, 74, 800.
Ooh.
Come on, man. Look at the design on that thing, man.
Yeah, but look at that sticker.
What's
There
wrong
you
with it? So what's the negative on this?
The sticker.
Well, what should it cost?
That's not the negative.
No, I'm not saying it shouldn't cost that. I'm just saying that's an expensive vehicle.
Well, I mean, it's an electric vehicle. What would you think?
And it's an Audi.
Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. But when I look at VW talking about a $22,000 vehicle, that's what I'm talking about. Hey man, like my mindset a little bit different. Like right now, like I'm looking at like, okay, I need to put my money somewhere else, not in vehicles. I mean, even though I mean I like vehicles, don't get me wrong, but Electric.
Man, come on, look at that, man. Say, come on. See what I'm
really
saying?
get excited over electric vehicles. I just don't.
You know what?
What about the manual transmission one?
Even still, like I like a car. I like the sounds of the engine, and I like the whole experience. I like the whole experience. So like,
See, man,
electric
what have you? Wait, hold on.
Get
Tristan,
over it,
what have
Triz.
you done? What have you done in an electric? Okay, you say you've done some electric karting. Have you ever ridden a mid-drive electric bike? Have you ever ridden a Xiaomi M365 electric scooter? I mean, do you have a wide range of experience with electric vehicles?
No.
Yeah, Triz.
That's the thing. I mean, I really think before you say that, you should try like using them.
Maybe the closest thing he's had.
Of them.
Maybe the closest thing he's had to electric anything is maybe that EKG. Yeah.
Or like a damn RC car.
I got an electric toothbrush. I got one of them new triple bristle sonic toothbrushes.
Hey,
Wow.
hey, Triz, how do you know you don't like a completely silent car? You don't know until you try.
Listen, listen. Look, what I'm saying is that I'm not saying I dislike it. I'm just saying it doesn't really get me excited. Like when I think about a vehicle with V8, V10, V12 engine, manual transmission, 3 pedals. I get excited about something like that.
Well,
like electric vehicle.
All done, Triz.
Now, I'm not saying
2019.
I'm not saying I wouldn't get
2020.
an electric vehicle. I'm not saying I wouldn't get an electric vehicle. What I'm saying is that if I get an electric vehicle, it's gonna be like something like that $22,000 Volkswagen. That's like the electric range that I'm talking about.
Oh man,
the people who buy Teslas and they buy these Audi e-trons, they look at these things the same way they look at an iPhone. It's exclusivity of technology.
Yep.
And Triz,
I told you gotta stop looking at EV buyers, the EV market, the way you look at the traditional automotive market. It is not the same.
So just get your weight up, Triz, and start getting into this stuff.
Damn.
Nah, look it. I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing. I'm gonna get that $22,000 Volkswagen, and I'm gonna import me a right-hand drive Toyota Century V12, and call it a day.
Hey, you know what, Triz? Hey, you know what, Triz? I'm gonna tell you something, fam. Go for the V8.
You talking why? Because it's older, more classic.
Bro, the parts
less maintenance
on that V12. Good Lord.
I just told you, man. You want to get the V12? That's even more moving parts, more maintenance.
I think that engine they only made about maybe like 1,000 maybe V12s throughout the span of that model.
They made V12s from 97. I want to say from 97 until 2018. So I know they made more than 1,000. Yeah, because before 97 was all V8s, different size V8s too. But from 97 to from 97 to 2018, because they just started making the V8s again, like in 2019.
I gotta look into that because I know that V12.
Oh no, yeah, trust me. Listen. I was all over. I'm looking all over because them Centuries is now they're nobody wants them.
Nobody wants, man. I'm telling you, I like them. I like them.
I like them too, but nobody really wants them. That's why I'm like, you can get
the older ones. I like the older ones. I have to get the older ones.
I like the older ones too, but damn, like the ability to have a V12 for a Toyota V12, even if it they really didn't try to extrapolate a lot of power out of the V12. So it's really just it's not a stressed engine, so that's like a type of engine that that number one you could probably get about, I'd say, a good 150,000 miles out of it before you actually need any real work. And for a V12, that's pretty good.
Man. I wouldn't, bro. I'll just go for the V8, man. I'm just being honest.
Hey, fellas, I want to say good night to you guys.
Hey, have a good one, brother.
All right, take care.
Yeah,
we're gonna shut it down, man. Yeah, peace and shalom, everyone.
Peace.
peace.